Hello, and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube here on Thursday, the 3rd of January, 2019. Yes, we are in the new year. And this ain't a new beer. However, I don't think I obviously have not done this beer, and I must have done the original non-light. Yes, we're doing light beer. I must have done the non-light beer version. I can't even recall that either. But this one comes from the Miller Brewing Company, as you can tell from this title, and it was introduced in 1994, according to the MillerCoors.com website. This is Miller High Life Light, which the interesting factoid of Miller High Life and Miller High Life Light is that they are a sub-premium level beer, so they're a little bit cheaper than the higher tier, like your Budweiser or something like that, or Miller Lite, or even Coors Light. Yeah. So this was an 18 pack that I acquired, and it was, I believe, $11.99 for the 18 pack of the cans, which they say March 11th, 2019. That must be the best by date. So yeah, $11.19 for a 18 pack of Miller High Life Light versus about $17.99 for an 18 pack of Miller Light. So you do the math, at least on paper, what the better value is on that. So there's Miller High Life Light. Again, it came out according to Miller Coors website. It introduced in 1994. Miller High Life Light is the low-calorie version of Miller High Life, offering the same unpretentious attitude with fewer calories. And they say the ingredients they use are water, barley malt, corn syrup, which is the dextrose, yeast, and hop extract. 4 to 12 fluid ounce serving can. It is 4.1% alcohol with 107 calories, no fat, no cholesterol, 10 milligrams of sodium, 6.2 grams of carbohydrates, no fiber, sugar, and less than 1 gram of protein. And before I crack open the beer, and I do have a Boston Celtics Miller Lite glass that has the Miller Lite etching on the bottom of the glass. Chat is open if anybody wants to chat. What was I going to say here? Yes, Rate Beer gives us a 2 out of 100 for a pale lager and a 0 out of 100 overall. And Beer Advocate was giving it in the, I think it's a 2.24 out of 5 for a light lager. So everybody pretty much trashes overflowed a little bit. Everybody pretty much is trashing it. Gabriel Salaya is watching. He says he's seen my video of Miller High Life 4.6 when I was live on the Louisiana Beer Review, Ronald Theriot's channel. And yes, I know I reviewed it on his channel, the Miller High Life, before, but I don't believe the light version. So let's get on to said Miller High Life Light. And with that etching, yeah, you're getting a streaming effervescence of the carbonation. Hello, Bearded Beer Man. Cheers. So yes, very pale, very straw colored. It's a tiny bit darker than some light lagers, but it is exactly what you would expect for the style. Popping and fizzing for days in that receipt. Bone white looking head. Eggshell. And yeah, it literally just smells like a very watered down version of the Miller High Life. It's got your typical keg beer smell, as a lot of beer reviewers call this style of beer in smell. Definitely wet, papery cardboard, sweet, grainy, grassy notes. The adjunct isn't too large, but you can tell that there is a sweetness. Probably you would imagine it's the dextrose corn that you're getting from the sweetness, but it's not hugely cooked vegetal. There's a little bit of that note, but not so much in it. But yeah, let's try the Miller High Life Light on the channel. Cheers, guys. Happy 2019. Highly effervescent and carbonated. Smooth drinking, easy going. Refreshing as all hell. very light, watery mouthfeel. It doesn't feel like with Miller Lite that in the High Life I'm getting a whole bunch of pale maltiness or a whole bunch of just a Pilsner malty flavor, or even hops for that matter. I mean, to be completely honest, I am getting a hop bitterness, but it is very light and it is sort of grassy in nature, but it's giving the beer some roundness to um, help to make sure that the sweetness doesn't overpower the palate. But I mean, typical light beer, but at least in this one, like most Miller beers that I find, I do still get more maltiness and a little bit tiny itty bitty bits of biscuity notes to it rather than just straight adjuncts and straight just chill cool water. So for that, that's a pretty good deal. I would really have to go side by side, or as they say in Canada, side by each, with Miller Lite and Miller High Life Light to really know that there is a difference, and B, that I'm actually getting a good value at $11.99 versus $17.99 for a 18 pack. I do like the presentation for this style of beer. It is holding some really nice lacing. It looks like it's clinging to the glass. So presentation wise, Miller beers have always sort of done it for me in that regard. Gabriel says Miller High Life Light versus Milwaukee Best Light, both 4.1, and both Milwaukee beers. So a 2 out of 100 from Rate Beer and a 0 out of the style pale lager, or 0 overall as a beer. 2 out of 100 for a pale lager. I'm going to ignore that because Rate Beer can pretty much stick it where the sun shines. Where it does not shine because they really like their craft stuff and they really just hate anything that's not crafty. So for validity's sakes, they're not even really giving this a fair shake. Hello, Bart Robinson. However, for me personally, I just don't rate this style of beer extremely, extremely high. It's still a little bit too watery for my personal preference, but a 75 is where I'm thinking on this particular beer. It's still not a really bad beer by any stretch of the imagination. You could buy far worse beer for a far better price, for a far worse price. Some even craft beers are not even as good as this. By that I mean you can spend a lot of money to try a beer, or you think you tried a beer one time years ago and you wanted to try it again, so you bought that expensive $16, $17 4-pack. Then you realize you didn't like it. Now there's going to be nothing. It's going to be no experience like that with the Miller High Life Light. You're gonna at least be able to tolerate this beer with its little to subtleties in flavor. But if you do want a light lager that has the faintest hop bitterness at the end and some pale maltiness, not as much as Miller Lite, then this is a good one to try. And yeah, for some reasoning you've never tried Miller High Life, you've been living under a rock. So get down there and try that. So live on this beer review, we have the Bearded Beer Man. Hello. We have Gabriel Salaya chatting. Bart Robinson is here. Hello, Bart. And John Anile. Good evening. Hey, everyone. Hello, Bart. John Anile says, Craig Swenson. Hello. He says, it's better than Miller Lite, especially at the price. Also a bit more flavor. Maybe. I'd have to compare, like I said. John Anile says, I think so too, Craig. It's one of the best light beers out there, in my opinion, IMO. And then Gabriel says a 30-pack of Miller High Life Light is $16.49, and Craig agrees between 15 and 17 in his area. So 75 out of 100, really well done light beer, but still just sort of a little bit above average as far as beers are concerned. So until next time, keep tasting great beers, these great beers, and light beers at all kinds of price points. Cheers. See you soon.